Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist, and I'm joined today with hubby.
Okay.
And we are doing a pyro Q&A, whatever the questions are. Well, I work on the Hummingbird Queen because you guys haven't seen her in a while. So the group voted that this is the one that you guys wanted me to work on. And I do have a photo just to show where we were at last. That way we can... I've filled in the mushrooms, the rock. I've been darkening areas. I've put, let's see here, I put some more rocks in here. What else have I done? Oh, this mushroom, that mushroom. So yeah, I've just been kind of popping around the place trying to get this done finally. And there is one thing that I've noticed that's bugging me, and that's the line that I have here on the horizon. And I want to fix that. So I'm going to use my makeshift ruler and decide where. I think I need to scratch maybe, because this line is a bit off. So while we're waiting for everybody to come in, I will fix this. Hey Sheila, Amy, David, Barb, welcome. Greg. Burl. Did I not say Burl?
You did not.
I'm so sorry, Burl. So I'm going to quickly make sure this is where I want the line, because it feels off to me. Because this is more of a foggy water coming up, so I really need to decide where I want that horizon line. I was getting rid of it there. I think... And just by straightening this line a little bit, it should, as long as it stay there, feel a little bit better.
Pete's in here too.
Hey, Pete.
Now, Barb is new and she's looking forward to learning.
Awesome. We are so glad to have you. Now, does this look okay on the screen? Do I need to zoom in? I'll go ahead and pop that. Maybe. Pop.
Looks good to me.
This one off. Yeah, but I want to make sure. Let's see here. So, where I left off the other night, I was darkening some of these areas because I really want to make sure that there's the layers in between. And right now, this is kind of the lightest. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my 18M and put it on 4. And all I'm going to do is kind of work this background darker. And hopefully, in theory, it'll kind of push it back. Not as dark as this, because this is even further back. I just need to have those layers. I do feel I need to darken up some of the water area, some of the rocks, so the water can pop out just a little bit more, especially here. This looks like a moon. It's not. It's rock. I've got to go back and darken. And kind of fade it back. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I've got this light source. You can tell the most based off my mushroom coming from the left. So that means anything that is down or away from the light is going to be darker. So let's see how much. And you can see it right here. I've already started around the mushrooms. But what I do want to make sure I keep is some of the lighter, mossier areas, because that's what gives us our texture. But I can kind of go under certain areas, like right here, and push it out. And just kind of moving around. The darkness is going to be underneath, so I need to make sure and get that. We're not going to see a whole of the light at the bottom, because that's not how the light is hitting. So let's see how far. And then I will probably bounce around and whatever catches my eye, which is how I tend to work. Whatever catches my eye. Now this moss goes back here, and I hadn't started working there yet. But with it being on the side, oops, the camera's like right in my face. I'm going to pull back. We're only going to see the tops, so, and even then, because this is a further back, it's not going to be as bright as our lights here, because they are not the focus. It's kind of...
Pete is asking if this is the piece that you were having problems with raised grain.
Yeah, that was down in the bottom. The more I've worked with it, the more it's been fine. It was mainly down here. And I think part of it was just me having been away from the piece for so long and forgetting. Not so much that it's raised, but it's not the issue I made it out to be because my brain. We do that. Things aren't as bad as they seem. The more we remember that, the easier things will be. Because once I just sat down with my headphones, in fact, Jason scared me while I was working on this piece last week. It was hilarious. Oh, goodness. Made me jump to the ceiling. And I was burning this dark area when it happened. Woo, it was fun. It was not intentional.
Every time
I had my headphones on.
I come in here, I try and not scare you. And I have never been successful.
Because you need to walk in so I can feel you.
Yeah, I tried that before. And I get right up.
So be patient.
And I am. And then you turn around and you're like, nah. And so I flipped the lights on and off this time. Because I thought, okay, I won't be anywhere near her. Because last time I tapped the table and that wasn't good. Anyway, so lights flashing, not good also.
So yeah, I had my headphones on and they were loud. So I was just rocking out burning and very focused when you started flashing the lights.
I need like a...
And I was right. You need like a laser pointer.
Yeah,
we have one.
Something.
Kind of hit the wood. Kind of get my get my attention.
Okay, we'll try that.
Start chasing.
Yeah, I'm going to predict that's going to scare you as well. That's going to startle you.
So maybe text me if you don't want to scare me. I think it's fun. I'm able to control my pen when it happens, so I'm really not worried about messing up. And even if I hit it a little bit wrong, it's not like I can't fix it. I think it's funny. And considering I scare you in the hallway, it's been a while, but I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of feel like you're getting back at me on a subconscious level. Let's see here. So, yeah, see, I'm getting a little more darks in here. But I do want to kind of blend out the texture because I want this to stand out. So we would have less texture. It'd be a little more blurred because we'd have less detail because this is the main part. And this is further back, this is further back, this is further back, and this is the furthest back. So all these layers are going to be less detailed as we go. And there will still be some highlights because that's how light works, but you're not going to see, like here, I put a little too much, I think, of the spiky grass moss. And that kind of stands out a little bit more. I'm hoping that once I kind of blend in the rock that's behind it a little bit more into the in-betweens of the grass, it'll be less obvious. But because this part is coming down, this part would have less light hitting it, though there would be some reflected light, possibly depending on how it's hitting the water. And I know this might feel complex. Mm-hmm. And it is, I would say, not a beginner's piece that I'm doing, but that's This was a personal piece, so it's not where I'm at anyway. Which is totally fine. We all got our layers.
It's like the happy fantasy upbeat version of a Hieronymus Bosch piece.
A what?
He was a artist way back when, and he did these very complex, detailed pieces that had a lot of information in them.
Is that who I'm channeling?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Because there aren't people on fire and stuff. So.
Oh, no. Oh, okay, those pieces. No. I prefer not to do that. So I'm just trying to blend out. See, this part would be even darker because it's further down. I know it's hard to visualize because this reference is a reference that I put together, so there's so many different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's at least 13 different references. 14, 15 references at least, all in this piece. So trying to have it where everything makes sense, as if this photo was taken in a snapshot of in time as one, is definitely a more advanced technique. So on that, I wouldn't recommend it yet for those new to burning. You will definitely get there. But sometimes if we go too hard on a piece, it can cause more frustration that does not keep us with it. We want to give up. So right now I'm just trying to push, and I'm actually going to have to bump the heat up to push that one back because I already have burned so much. So I'm going to come back down here. And even here I could go a little hotter, because once I've burned in an area, especially when it's a medium to dark tone, if you want to darken it, it's going to require more heat. So do we have any questions yet? Since this is supposed to be a Q&A.
Not yet. Just the one that about the grain.
Give me the question.
Troy is here. He says the bird could be on fire. David,
not in my world.
David Zinman says this is an amazing piece.
Oh, thank you. I have to admit, I got frustrated with it and kind of started losing sight of it.
And Pete really likes this piece too.
Thank you. I think because I'm still so much in the working stage that it's been hard to remind myself I'm still piecing it all together. And so I get just as frustrated as everybody else, wanting to see it done and feel right. I just have to remind myself I need to slow down. It will get there. And it was kind of nice to start working on it again. Alright, so I'm gonna... What pin is this? That's my ball tip. I'm actually going to turn up the heat and start darkening this rock a little bit more, which means all this is going to be darker. This should be the darkest by the time I'm done. Hopefully. Because what I'm wanting is for it to pop out the leaves, which the leaves, some of them are on the level of the hummingbird, some of them are further back, but they're not as far back as the rocks. Now I'm on 5.5. Blowing the tip for a second just to alleviate some of that heat. It'll build back up. This way I don't have the splotches. And normally I would be turning my wood, but I'm trying to keep it so it's easier to view. Let's get this darker so we can hopefully see the difference between the first 3 layers. Though in theory, the first layer is actually this corner.
Pete wants to know if you have room to squeeze a raven in to the picture.
Not this piece. Not this piece. I'm going to become the raven gal, aren't I?
That's not a bad thing, right?
No. not a bad thing. It's only a month left, almost 5 weeks.
Sorry about that.
Until the magazine's on newsstands. Of course, Moon. See, this I've got a little too light, even though it shows light in the reference. So because there's no light hitting it. It's down the rock curves. So I need to darken.
Troy says, and a fox.
And a fox. One of these days I'll do a fox. I have one. I have a photo from Arizona that I have planned.
David says the hardest thing he's learned is negative burning.
Which, right here is what I'm doing. I'm burning around this to make this pop. And wait, with negative burning, you're looking at the opposite shape. Instead of looking at, like the mushroom here, you're looking at the shape behind or around the mushroom.
So behind it. Like VH1's behind the music. No? Okay.
No.
Greg has a question. Mm-hmm. Have you found it beneficial to take a few days or more break from a piece to get a fresh eye?
As long as it's a short period of time, like with this one hasn't been on camera since February. I was looking at that.
Okay.
And I hadn't sat down. Well, I sat down with it last week, but prior to that, it had been a couple of months, and I find I kind of lose not my place, but what I had planned. Darn dog. And so I think going any longer than a couple of days, maybe a week at most, especially when you're new to burning, is the most I would suggest. Because when you get lost, that's when you kind of start making mistakes. Because, oops, I shaded this wrong. And I shaded this wrong, though it's not necessarily wrong, but based on the plan that you had, you kind of forget your plan. And that will cause frustration that makes it harder to come back to. And some people end up abandoning. I mean, I took some time, not only for the magazine, but with having a YouTube channel, trying to keep it fresh, gets a little hard. And so I end up changing subjects more than I would recommend others to do. I used to, prior to YouTube, I would only work on one piece until that piece was completely done. And then I would move on to the next piece. But since YouTube, I'm all over the place. Alright. See that, I've gotten a little dark. I need to darken this up a little bit. See, some of this is going to be blocked. And knowing how it's going to be blocked can be hard. I'm still on 5.5. I'm just kind of, because I'm moving the pin quicker, it's burning lighter. And even if I get a little bit of a splotch in here, because it's moss, you wouldn't know it. This down here would definitely be darker, because it's the side. Put that in there. Oh, excuse me. Alrighty. See, if I look on camera, I can see it a bit differently. What does she do now?
No, she just wanted a snack.
Oh, is that what that was? All right. Oh, okay. I can turn because I've got the camera. I can turn. So, let's see here. I put my line, kind of straightened it out, which helps. There we go.
Okay, so let's see here. Greg said, have you been reading comments?
No.
Okay, so Greg said, so you start over thinking starting over. Yep. Oh, I'm assuming that's something you said. Pete says, the next burning I'm going to do is a woodland stream. Did you record the waterfall part of this burning, or have you...
Yes. I haven't put this one in the playlist yet, but there's a playlist of this whole piece.
Oh.
There's a couple of places I've worked off camera, but overall, I would say most of it's on camera. Let's see here.
Robin Short is here.
Hey, Robin. He's trying to blend. Because here, this is where I was when you flashed the light. It was here. I was using a different pen. So I'll come back down here. Remember, always turn your board so that you're not standing on your head burning.
That seems like a good...
Hey, sometimes I get so engrossed that I'm not moving the board and keep going, and I end up in very strange if you walked into positions. Alright. Hopefully everything is clear. I noticed the videos, the lives have been getting a little blurry, and I went and reset a bunch of stuff. Alright. Okay, where do I want to go? See, even here, the rocks would be darker, which would make the mushrooms pop out more. So I'm going to quickly darken that up so we can see that layer. Remember, this is the main layer that I want to really stand out.
Excuse me.
Goodness, are you okay?
Yeah.
So, let's get that in here. Some of it will have light hitting it. Not a whole lot, because, let's see here, this is protruding this way. Light's coming down this way. Alright, so we'd have a bit of shadow. So let's get that in there. And sometimes when you walked away from a pattern from so long, you're looking at the graphite trying to figure out what's what, and normally I wouldn't point this out, but we're learning. The mushroom area here, I completely lost what I was doing. Even though my pattern is still attached to the board, I totally lost what I was doing. And so I had to merge it a little differently. See, these corners are harder to do because this is a cradle board that's raised. So I have to brace my pinky on my backboard. Let's see here. Alright, let's get that in a little bit more. And I'll keep building this up because part of bouncing around is trying to get the values right. And you may think you're done with an area, but as you look at the other areas, it ends up requiring more.
And Beryl says, you need a caterpillar and a pipe in the picture. Just a small one.
I wanted that feeling, kind of. I wanted this to be a whole other universe. A whole other place that we don't know anything about, where Hummingbird is the queen. And then there was going to be smaller pieces around it, like a cat army general guy, girl, and other bigger animals coming out around it, but in unity with it. And he rules all the animals. And I did have bubbles laid out for this, but I think the bubbles would have became too much, so I did not include them. That was a plan for this piece. I also created the pattern so that I could wrap it around the board, and I think I will still do some of it, but not burn it as much as I had planned. Have more leaves coming this way. Maybe the mushroom wrap around a little bit. It comes down this way, and then we have more mushrooms on this side, but leaving more of the rest of it bare. Because I do like wrapping around my burning around the cradle board, because it when somebody looks at it from the side, so if they walk around the corner, they see this and it piques their interest and they move across, they hit this, and then they end up coming back because they're like, what the world am I looking at? So I do like doing that with these. That be the plan. Alright, so what is this area? I have pieces of my reference. See, this rock had lichen on it, but I felt like that might be too much detail, too much texture, especially when we've got the moss here and the moss here. So I chose to leave that off. I can kind of give it a feeling like it has some darker areas around and underneath, so that it has the feeling of the lichen without having the detail of the lichen. Sometimes as artists we have to choose what the most important information is that we want to convey in a piece. And even though it might look cool, we also have to take into consideration how it looks with the rest of it. Especially since this is a totally pieced together reference photo. These two were nowhere near these rocks. But when you put them together, you see that's just too much detail for everything going on here. So you have to make that choice of how you want it to be. And see, with this one, I've got more leaves in the reference behind the hummingbird, and you notice some of them are more blurred out because they're further back, with these coming out as detailed. But a lot of this I'm darkening in between because I don't know that I need or want as many of those leaves. So when putting, I guess I could have named this putting a collage piece together, because that's basically what this is. And I think different things to take into consideration as you're burning it, because you can't always match the lighting, and so it really helps to have a clearer vision in your head of what you're looking for, so that you can follow that mostly. And when you step away from a piece for so long, for too long, you can lose that vision. See, right here I'm losing the edge of that mushroom, so I'm going to darken this because this mushroom is more important. Watch what happens when I darken this area. Not as dark as this because that's in shadow. Kind of blend that in. Wherever I slow down, it's going to be darker. Oh, she's going to be a brat. Maybe we should close the other door. The studio door. Yes. See, now we just saw this lip of the mushroom pop out because I negative burned around it and brought it out. In fact, the moss even looks a little different compared to this moss.
It does.
Whew, I did something right. Woo-hoo. Sometimes I even feel like I screw up a lot.
You've done a lot of work on this. I'm looking at the moss, and it's really actually, not that it's a surprise, but it's really well done.
Well, thank you.
And the moss that's behind it has a sense of
this one
being a little bit
out of focus.
Out of focus.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
And so it's really effective in selling the depth that you need in this. You have to have it, otherwise it's gonna look like a jumble.
Yeah. What I did notice on posting this photo is this line of the rock kind of stops too far down on the mushroom, so that it's almost like a line this way. So what I'm going to do is kind of alter it. There we go. I think in doing this, bringing the rock up, it separates that mushroom. With that, I would probably do with a ball tip, because it's a smaller area. I keep, that was my glasses. Move over here a little bit. So I'm going to use the ball tip to kind of scrumble and get some texture. I'm still putting texture in, but not heavy texture, because again, this is what I really want to stand out. But right here in this corner, to me, that line stopping at the mushroom like that kind of loses the mushroom. I'll tap that in a little bit. Now I think we have, yeah, that actually could it come, let's see here, this. See, the dark really helps the lights pop out. So this mushroom has kind of been born, because I borned it. Yes, with my darks.
You borned it?
I borned it.
Hey, Ricky.
I borned it.
That's not how you say it, Ricky.
See, I bored it. Alright. That feels, at least looking on camera, that feels better, especially since we have the light of the fog back here. I needed to pop, because this mushroom is on this branch. So this mushroom is just as important as this one. But because it's a lighter mushroom, I have to find a way, and that's where negative burning really comes in, is finding a way to make this pop out more.
It hurts my head.
Hurts your head? But actually,
so many relations to keep in mind how things relate to each other. Because when you get something out of order, it throws the whole thing off.
I would say I am lucky in that most of the time I can kind of keep it straight, especially since, well, I'm the one who came up with the plan for this piece. So I can keep up with what goes where. This is going down.
This is different too, because like how I would do this as a painter, I would work from the background out towards the viewer, and that's how I would keep everything managed and organized. But here you don't have that luxury.
You're talking quiet again.
Well, you heard me.
Well, I heard you, but they did hear you. Not very well. Let's see here. Some more of this in here. I'm trying to break it up. Trying to break those levels up where it's believable, lighting wise.
Well, I don't see that as an issue though, because you air quotes collage this, but we all know that this is just a photo that you took.
Are you still on
from
that?
From the secret world that you visit.
Yes, this is my secret world. But it may be a nice one. I'm going to kind of blend these rocks together because they're more in the darkness, so I'm trying to blend more.
I don't know how many people are aware that we have shortened the format. Mm-hmm. So if you're holding off and asking questions, don't. Because I think we've been shortening the broadcast to 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. I have thought about adding some color to some blues and greens to the hummingbird.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you, David. They heard me.
Oh, okay. Don't help him. He's talking quiet.
I'm doing my job.
You're talking quiet.
I'm trying not.
You're talking quiet.
I'm trying not to overpower you.
You can't. So I'm thinking blue greens on the hummingbird, maybe with it. And when I say color, I am not talking a bright color at all. I'm talking about hitting it with a colored pencil, so it's kind of tinted, So you know the color's there, but the burning is still the main thing.
So kind of like a washed out.
Yes, it would be more like a sepia photo that's been tinted for like one of the old photographs with the eyes or whatever they've chose to tint. That's what I'm thinking with this one, but I have not decided yet. I'm still working that out in my head. A lot of this is in my head. I have a reference so that I have a map, so to speak, and to keep things looking realistic the way I want them. But the idea itself is all in the head. I don't know if that's a good thing, though. Should I have said that? This is a view of my head. That could be scary.
Suddenly things seem to make sense.
They make sense, huh? I'm trying to figure out, what do I have here? Is that a rock or is that water?
So, Pete and Beryl have been talking about the caterpillar piece and whether or not we copyrighted. And Pete says, I have no idea how it works. He's seen people do burns of famous characters' films and famous works and post them on sites and even sell them. Maybe you have some info.
Okay, as for copyright.
Oh, you get that interview soon, huh?
I still need to contact her. Because Alice started off as a book, and the book is in the 1800s, it can be used. So I could go based on the description of the caterpillar in the book. But the caterpillar in the Disney Alice cannot be used.
Right.
So that would be the difference. So if you've read Lord of the Rings and you want to do a Burning of Aragon, you would have to do a drawing based on the description of the character in the book. And in doing that, you would be fine. But when you take movie pictures without, even with a movie photo, so there's a picture of Aragon, the actor who plays him. And
it's Aragon.
Aragon. You say it then. You use the picture of the
He's
actor?
a ranger from the north.
Or Jon Snow.
You owe him your allegiance.
If you use the picture of that actor from that movie or show without permission of the owners, and in this case, I don't know if the photographers give up their rights to HBO or any of the other movie houses, production companies. If they do, those production companies own those images. You cannot burn them and sell them. Now, could you burn them and not post them and you're practicing? Yeah, because who's going to know? But if you're putting it on wood, taking a picture and selling it, and it is not yours, you're in copyright violation. So I could take Harry Potter and I could burn Harry Potter based on the description from the book. And even then, well, yeah, because I have changed, what's the word? I have transmuted from the book to a visual piece. I would be careful on that. And now you also have fan art, and fan art totally depends on, again, the owner of the copyright. Nintendo does not let you do any kind of fan art whatsoever. They will hit you up. And I have been talking to a copyright attorney that's here locally, and he has agreed to an interview for you guys, and I've been so busy, I need to set up that interview. Anyway, fan art is different.
It's like you said, it all depends on the owner. And
yes.
So it could be, because there's some of the companies that actually
they support fan art.
They encourage it.
Yeah, because it gives them free publicity.
But you need to be careful depending on what you want to do, because if it's for publicity and you don't mind it and you're not worried about what happens to that piece, then it's probably not going to be an issue. But some of these companies do have
I remember what
rules and that say like, okay, by posting fan art on this, now it becomes our property.
Yeah, and we can use it instead of you using it.
So you just have to be careful. But if you just want the publicity and that's okay, then maybe that would be okay for you. But
here's the thing. When I was talking to the copyright attorney, apparently there is a whole new bracket of attorneys that all they do is scour the web for copyright, no matter how big or small. They scan the internet for copyright, and they will hit you for their client. That is all they do all day long, is scan the internet to see what pieces violate.
Nerds.
I know. So when somebody says, "Oh, but I'm just a little artist, nobody knows who I am," if they can come across that picture, you're just as liable, and they are just as likely to come out at you. Now, what they might do, he said that what they do a lot of times is make you pull everything down. You pay them off with if you've made any money off of it, and it goes away. Because they are a bigger company, they can afford to sue you. When you're a small artist, you don't have the resources that they do. So you really need to pick and choose. Now, I'm going to be doing a celebrity. I have already talked to the photographer, the photographer who took that photo. And I have gotten his permission because the celebrity does not own the right to that photo, even though it's their image. They don't own the right to it. It's the photographer. And I've already talked directly to the photographer and have it in writing. And he's excited to see what I do with it. And that's going to be... I really want to get to it, but I've got so much. I might make that a rapid, maybe. Let's see here.
They're going to want to know.
Oh, I know. I've brought it up before. Even Burl doesn't know. And even when there's things I tell Burl, I'm like, don't tell anybody, because I'm so excited. But I have not even told Burl. But now I kind of want to talk. Because how many we got? 17? 18?
Well, 16 minus you and me.
I count. So, copyright can be very tricky. And Star Wars, if you don't think Disney is not going to come after you for Star Wars, especially when they spent, what? $1 billion? How much did they spend on buying Star Wars rights?
Oh, I don't know.
It was a
ludicrous amount of money.
Yeah. If you don't think they're not going to... And Disney does have attorneys that are scouring. They are one of the companies that does do it.
So here's a little caveat to that is helpful. Like one of the things that will get you hit, or two of the things that will get you hit though, is if they sense that it's competing with their brand. So if you do a fantastic rendition of something, then that would definitely get their attention. Because like, let's say that Disney does a search for Han Solo fan art, and
that's all it would take.
And they find one that's absolutely phenomenal, then odds are they're going to come after you.
I don't know. I don't think that's true. Now, they may contact you to do art for them.
Well, that would be the other option.
That is the other option. I think Disney is just going after in general.
But the other part of that is that whether it's done poorly or not is if you're using licensed characters in a way that they deem that is not in line with, like, so if you had Han Solo smoking a blunt, then
you would have to prove to a court how that is transformative.
Yeah.
And that is extremely hard to do.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying those things would get their attention more so.
Quicker.
If you did like some crappy art, you might not get their attention because that might not be seen as competing. And I'm not saying go do crappy art.
I see what you mean. I'm just saying, an artist who's more likely to make money off it than an artist who isn't.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So Wingman115 says, "Good day, folks."
Good day.
Robert Fisher says, "Evening from the UK."
Evening, Robert. We were just discussing copyright.
So yeah, but you could get like if you like we're going back to Lord of the Rings, like you could get your Uncle Guido to dress up as Aragorn.
Yes.
And that would be fine as long
as
you
use that as a reference.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could go on Pixabay and find a male that closely resembles what you pictured from reading the book, and use the picture from Pixabay and transform that copyright-free photo into him and be okay. You just cannot use the images from the movie or any of the supporting publications or documents, whether it's movie posters.
Right.
You can't use anything from the movie itself. But if you read the book and you decide Alice looks completely different than what Disney drew or any motion picture movie they've done, and you draw her the way you vision her in the book, you are safe. Because you have created her from your mind based on the words that are they're copyright unless the family kept it going.
Yeah. Is
clear. But you're not using the words anyway.
So your artistic interpretation and rendition.
That is safe. And that is also your copyright.
But be careful, because like with a lot of these big properties, that stuff can creep its way into your psyche.
Yes.
And you make
if
sure
it looks anything like
make sure that you're reading the book. And if they went by the book in exactly, then that's also, like, I'm not saying that you couldn't do it.
But you would still envision differently.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you came up with the same thing that they did,
well, yeah,
through different means, you'd have to be prepared.
You'd have to prove that you came up with it on your own.
Right.
So sure, you can do Star Wars, but you have to envision Star Wars differently than what Disney has.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of defeats the point of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, because and I've thought about that. I was like, well, I could burn Harry the way I see Harry, but when you look at it, other than the Thunderbolt, you won't recognize him as Harry, because that is my visualization from the book. So the Harry that's popular is from the Universal Pictures Harry, not my Harry that I envision, or the book cover, because we gotta stay away from that too.
Yeah.
I know it can feel overwhelming if you always stick to your, as much as possible, your art, your photos, unless you use copyright free like I did here to create the collage. As long as you stick with that, you should always be safe. And keep records. So if you've got a bunch of sketches of Alice in a different way, and you're working things out, date those sketches, sign those sketches. Mm-hmm. That way it can show you have been working on this and not using somebody else's work.
And Pete says the safest option is ask first.
Always ask, yes. Probably always ask.
Absolutely correct. Because you could get lucky. You know, we have. I did a celebrity a while back, and I just did another one recently. I mean,
Dana Fuchs.
Yeah, Dana's big, but the band members from Skating Polly, they're not.
They're working on it.
They'll get there. They're not huge yet.
They're working on it.
And your guy?
Well, my guy's big.
Yeah, he's big.
My guy's a big one, and I'm excited to there. Oh, we said it's a guy. Yep. That just took away 49 or 51% of the population. Mm-hmm. So we know it's a guy.
Tune in next week for another hint.
Oh, should we do that?
Yes, we should.
Ooh,
and if it's
can I hint for next week?
Somebody can DM us.
Yes, you can
the
send
accurate one. The first person to accurately do this with the hints, you can do a little giveaway or something.
Oh, you did that, huh?
Oh, coffee's kicking in.
You did that.
Making stuff up on the fly.
You are.
Wiki.
I guess I have to honor that now.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of giveaway. What kind of giveaway?
I don't know. Something Pyrography.
You know what? I'll give away the print of the piece.
Really? That.
It'll be amazing. It'll be a smaller version of it.
Yeah.
But I'll give away the print.
Ooh.
From the piece.
I might have to guess.
You already know. You already know.
That's fine.
You don't get to guess.
Yeah.
In fact, if I've told you, you don't get to guess either.
Is any of it on Instagram? It's not, is it? I don't think I took any pictures.
I don't know. You need to look. Why would you give them that hint? Pull up Instagram, please. Before I go promising stuff and you've already messed it up by posting.
I'm guessing even if it is.
I don't think I let you, but...
Beryl says, a raven.
Nope, not a raven.
Good guess though, Beryl. Based on past history, that would be...
Please pull up. Please, yeah.
I'm pulling it up now.
Because if the answer's on Instagram...
I doubt it.
I tried to keep it quiet.
Yes.
Because I'm still... I see the piece and I know what I'm doing. There's some additions to it that I'm still trying to visualize and decide if that's where I want to go. All I'm doing is going through darkening areas that I see as we talk. Reading for more questions.
Nope, that's not on Instagram.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Just look at our... Yeah, go slow down.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, yeah, because I think I told you I didn't want to... Because I've done studies of the piece, and I think I've told you that...
And sometimes I take pictures on the fly when she's not paying attention.
But that one, I think I told you no.
Yeah, I didn't.
Wasn't ready
to... Yeah, and you want to make sure that you post the best possible version of this.
Because I don't want to make the artist or the photographer feel like he shouldn't have given his permission.
Nor the person.
Or the person, yes. Yeah. Because the picture I'm doing is actually a pretty personal photo.
Yeah.
I was really moved when I saw the photo, which is why I contacted the photographer. And he was really nice. He got back to me half an hour later. I was shocked that his email came in so quickly.
Pete says, I was thinking of Brandon Lee from The Crow, but he's no longer with us.
No.
You can't just throw names out from left field, Pete.
No.
Greg says, Tom Hanks.
No.
No. And Beryl says, does graphite paper dry up? It's not a guess, but it is a question.
No, not that I know of, because...
She already guessed Raven, so...
Yeah.
You get more than one guess.
So we're going to have to sit and figure out what all the hints are going to be. And are the hints going to get easier as we go, or are we going to keep the hints hard in order for somebody to win?
I think they need to be hard, but individually, but collectively, if somebody's paying attention, they might be able to piece it together.
Okay.
But yeah, not insurmountable. Because ultimately you do want to give some, I mean, we don't want to come to the end of this myth. Well, nobody won. Pete says, we need a better clue. Well, next week, Pete. Next week.
He did this, Pete, not me.
Yeah.
I didn't do this.
That's what 3 cups of coffee does.
I hadn't even thought of doing this.
A bowl of soup.
I almost was going to tell you. And then he popped this thing in, so...
This is more fun.
I agree.
Bernadette approved.
Is that...
This is a Bernadette approved idea.
Oh, that's a wing. Okay, I gotta be careful with that. That's a wing. This is moss. So I'm actually gonna darken this area up.
No.
I guess I need to get started on the piece.
I guess so.
But I got...
Oh, there it is.
Different art shows to get ready for. I told the photographer I wasn't going to get started until... I wasn't looking at getting started on the piece until October. I am going to record the video of burning it, but it will not be alive. I will do that as a premiere.
That's cool.
Maybe by that time, we will also have the winner who will have guessed. And no extra clues for the moderators. It's all the same. No, not Chuck Norris. I would definitely say you're going in the wrong direction. No more clues.
Well, you're confirming or denying their guesses here. So.
Oh, am I not supposed to do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
We get you get to, if you get it, absolutely.
What, if they guess it, then we'll say it right now?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Nobody's guessing though.
Alright. So looking at this camera, I got this darker. I feel this needs to be darker. But do you see how it's now separated from the two? And by darkening it this more, I need to straighten, I think, that line out a little bit better. Sometimes it's better for me to look up at the camera or up on the monitor up here where I'm looking. It allows me to see it a little bit differently. A little closer to what you guys are seeing. Instead of looking at the reference. I think it also gives my eyes a break because I'm going from focusing here to focusing up there, and it allows my eyeballs to stretch and not be so tired. Because when my eyeballs get tired, they start bouncing hard.
No wingman. It's not Bob Ross.
I thought we weren't telling them yes or no.
I just felt like that it needed to be said.
Okay.
Bob Ross is a holy religious figure. We can't.
He is a guru.
He's a guru.
He is the art guru.
He is the enlightened afro of art.
He is the one who shared freedom to the masses in creating. He made more people one with art.
Barrow's just non-stop guessing. Non-stop guessing.
Watch her call me after the live and still keep guessing.
I bet you she will.
I'm having lunch after the live, bro. I'll have to wait.
Pete says he tends to look away for about 20 seconds when he's burning.
Yeah, I try to give my eyes something new to focus on.
How
I'm not always good at it, though.
how much longer are we going?
I don't know. Do we have any more questions?
I don't know. I mean, I'm reading. I don't see any. It's just a stream of guesses at this point.
What is that? I'm trying to figure out what this line is.
David Zinman says, "Hail the Rose." What?
Hail the Rose.
Is that
Not sure what that reference
is. That a guess?
Okay.
Sorry.
That is the rest of the wing. Alright. I keep hitting the camera with my glasses. The camera's like right in my face so that you guys can see the full... So I could bounce around. So I'm having to move around.
Oh, he said hail the Ross.
Oh, hail the Ross.
They autocorrected him, I guess.
Well, he also said he paints as well.
Daryl, I wish we could get Ian McKellen. That would be awesome. I would.
You know, I think we can get a lot of people. It's just a matter of asking them.
I would do Ian.
So contact one of the photographers. Actually, oh, you know, I'm trying to figure out.
Over.
Let me scratch
funny.
The hummingbird's neck here.
Thanks, Troy.
That is specifically to Troy and nobody else watching. Let me scratch the hummingbird a bit.
Oh.
We are not going to go further with that.
I was poking the bear, aren't you?
You wanted to come down here next year, huh?
That would be.
That was just wrong.
That would be a good web series. Troy pokes the bear.
And I'm the bear.
Just every episode, he just
pokes me.
Pete says Ian is very approachable, apparently.
Yeah, why don't you just find a photo that you like and contact him and see what happens?
And Troy says, LOL, you're welcome.
That comment came because Troy knows more of my background. I don't want anybody confused as to why that
Yeah,
that would cause me issue.
Yeah. Before I go approaching any other people, though, I need to get done with the things that I am doing. I'm going to have to start over on the piece that I'm working on. I'm not happy with it.
Well, I would say that luckily for it's painting.
Oh, yeah.
Which is easier to adjust.
Yep. I'm going to adgesso it really well.
Yeah, adgesso it. Let's see here. My line feels off. How do I want to bring it down? Because that is supposed to be fog.
Barrel says featuring Doritos.
Luckily, we're not still finding Dorito bags this time.
Yes.
Yeah, that line is off. So I think what I'm going to do...
Oh, wow. So that was a Troy reference, wasn't it?
Yes, that was a Troy reference. Because when he was here, we talked about him hiding Dorito packages in the couch that we found.
That's right.
Months and months later. Let's see. I'm trying to bring this line down. So even though it's fog, it's at a distance. That's a leaf. That's a rock. This is a darker rock. It's behind. That's a leaf. Some of it looks like like beak, and I have to be careful.
Well, I don't see any more questions.
Well, we definitely, thanks to you, will have to come up with... So what do we want to see next week? I have to admit that I'm running out of new projects to discuss with you guys.
Troy says he's on board with anything to do with Doritos.
I'm not
David
burning
actually is asking, are you going to darken the mushroom by the water?
By the water. This one? Probably a little bit, but not much. That's the only, or are you talking down here? These mushrooms. Because those are the ones by the water. Right?
I think that's the only singular mushroom, so...
So this one.
I'm thinking that.
Yeah, I think I'll darken it a little bit more so that... because the mushroom...
I think it's too close in value to the...
Is darker, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is... In fact, we can do that real quick. Let me turn down my heat because I don't want it to be a high heat. Up here on the top of the mushroom.
Beryl says, my graphite isn't transferring to my maple cutting board. Any ideas?
Graphite isn't... Have you wiped it with denatured alcohol? I noticed that wood takes the graphite better. Let's see here, not...
See... That's why you're the professional, because I was just going to tell her to push harder.
Well, that would be another answer. I'm trying to think.
Does it a cutting board? Does it have a coating or anything on it? Because it could be resisting.
That's a good question.
Could be resisting the graphite. So you might have to sand it down.
Well, I think it might be maple that he has cut.
Ah.
So what are the other reasons why?
She says yes.
Are you using a full sheet of graphite, or did you like cut it and then you use this square a whole bunch? Because maybe you need another square. Maybe you used...
No, she says a new piece. She switched to a new piece. And it doesn't look any better.
Doesn't look any better. I may need to think more on that. I'm trying to think if I've had that issue. I have had it be lighter, but once I used the denatured alcohol in the wood, I noticed a difference in transfer.
She says she sanded it to 600 and raised the grain.
It may be okay. It may be that the board is has been burnished and is too smooth. Because I only go to 400. You can make wood too smooth where things won't adhere to it. Now I have a mushroom line I'm trying to get rid of.
Robert Fisher says he's currently working on a 16 by 11 project of a cheetah and would like tips on doing the fur. Don't you have videos for fur?
I've done a lot of fur. Cheetah fur is shorter fur. So that would be a sleeker, smoother stroke. I would block in your different values in the cap. And then you can go back to areas where you can see more of the fur texture because maybe it's closer to the camera, or how the cat is turned, has popped the fur up, and then put the fur in, versus trying to burn all the fur. Because they appear... Oh, my tiger. The tiger that Troy and I did, that one. And Troy and I worked on that 2 or 3 lives. 2 lives. Look for... I don't even have... I don't have the piece in here to show. But yeah, we did short fur. So I think the tiger fur is going to be closest to what you're doing.
Back to the cutting board. Beryl says she's going to re-wipe with alcohol. It could be too smooth. She says...
It's a commercial?
She says no.
No commercial cutting board. Okay, so it's a piece that he cut. Yeah, I would... Let's see here. You're already at 600. Well, it's a solid piece of wood, so what you could do is re-raise the grain. Oh, that's outside. You could re-raise the grain, do 220, 320, and stop at 400, and see if the graphite adheres then. Because it could be a matter of it's just too smooth. Alright, so I've got the mushroom a little more. This is a darker color. This right here is rocks where water is coming up, but I can go darker because there's more fog down here. Alright, let's darken this up a little bit more. I'm trying not to go too dark because...
Robert says thank you. Has seen one of the streams. We'll look them up.
Awesome. I hope it helps. If not, I will try to help better once he watches. Let's see here. Well, it is now a little darker, at least on camera, to the water. See, this is raw wood right here. I haven't put these guys in yet.
Spence is here.
Hey, Spence. Yeah, so late. We're about to be done. Alrighty. I definitely can now see the division a lot better. I like that a lot better. Looking at it, that line is still off. And this piece of glass that you see, I have a video on making a ruler to use with your wood burning, and that's what this is a straight line so that I can burn up against it. With wire tip burners, you should never use a metal ruler next to it. You can short out your pen. I know I saw it done, and by a friend of mine recently. I need to talk to him, because that can short out your pen. That's why I chose glass. It does not transfer the heat.
It's not conductive.
And it does not conduct. And I don't have to worry about it melting. Let's see here.
That's interesting. You could potentially, possibly electrocute yourself.
Yes. You could.
If you're using metal.
Yep.
Just depends on how conductive that metal is.
I think he was using an aluminum ruler. I need to talk to him. Let's see here. If I pull this line up, See, the water is kind of coming around, but this hump right here is what's throwing me off. So now I can take this ruler. Let's see here. Make sure I have it even. I think I scratched too low to where I want. What I'm going to do. But yeah, I have a video. And this piece of glass is just from a picture frame. But now I can be right up against it, and I don't have to worry about shorting anything out. I do need to fix what I scratched.
And Barrow uses a glass piece.
Yeah, it's the safest way to do it. And I've got the edges taped just so I don't cut myself. I need to bring that line down. So what I'm going to do is cover where I don't want the burning. And see, that's another thing about the glasses. I can see. I can line up better. This will not short out my pen. And I feel no heat. There we go. Something like that, alright? I'll keep working on it. This does need to be darker here. I bumped up the heat to 5.5. Just so I could. Unfortunately, I do have a burn line that you can see more. I had to blend that in. But for now it's fine. And if I kind of go in and out, then it makes it feel less uneven. It's darker. Alrighty. So if we don't have any more questions, I think we are going to go ahead and finish up here. Next week we will have another clue, but please tell me what you want me to work on next week. If you want to see this gal again, or if you want me to switch over to the bison, or the three options I gave were Hummingbird Queen, the bison, and starting the right side of the wolf. Those are your three options, because I really don't need to start a new piece on camera until some of these other ones get fixed. So I guess technically that would be this one or the bison. So, no further questions. Videos on my glass ruler, how to make it, are up in the, I don't have iCards. I will put them up there. I will also have the iCard for the Hummingbird Queen playlist, so you can go back and see. We had different topics we discussed while I was working on different areas, so hopefully that will help. I will also, since I mentioned it, put the tiger playlist of me and Troy doing the tiger up there as well.
Is this what I think it is?
Yes, hit the eyeball. There you go. And don't forget. That took a second. You're a pyro artist. Threw that timing way off, but now you know how to do it. Thanks for joining us. Check out some more videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new. We're almost to 5,000.
Wow.
Hopefully we can make 5,000 by July 12th. That is my
awesome.
goal. Happy burning, guys.
Bye.
Bye.